Hey guys, it's Diatomic here, and welcome back to another episode of Minecraft. And today I'm going to be talking all about MCMMO. As you can see, I have my MCMMO stats on the right hand side. And I'm going to be going through all of them except for taming, because taming is the only one I don't know anything about. And right now I'm actually on a friend's server. It's pretty new, it was just released to the public yesterday. It's called BBFactions. In the description there'll be different times for each of the different stats that you can upgrade and things like that. So if you're only looking to upgrade things like swords or acrobatics, then you can just go to that time. You don't have to watch all of them. That would suck, because I know that I wouldn't want to watch something I wouldn't actually need to watch, right? So to start off, I'm going to do mining. It's pretty straightforward. If you know nothing about it, then when you mine, you get experience. And then if you get a certain amount of experience, it gives you another level. Like you can see my level's going up right now just from mining this cobblestone. And depending on what ore you're mining, you get different amounts of XP. You also get regular Minecraft XP, like when you mine coal. But then you get more MCMMO XP for mining different ores. And diamonds you obviously get more, emeralds you get more, iron you get more than coal. It goes up in value. And then if you right click your pickaxe while it's in your hand, you can see it says you ready your pickaxe. And then if you start mining, it gives you super breaker, and you can tell I'm mining a lot faster. It also increases drops of different ores, depending on what your level is, and also depending on what server you're on, because servers have their own presets. The higher level you are, the longer it lasts as well. It really depends on your level. There is also something called blast mining. But you have to be a certain level before you get it. I think most servers have it at level 125 for mining. I'm not level 125 yet, but it's pretty easy. You just kind of place down TNT and then back up pretty far away, and then right click with the flint and steel. So the next ability is woodcutting. And so it's basically what you'd think it is. You just cut down wood, and then over time your level goes up with the XP that you get from the different kind of wood. And it is going up pretty fast. Once you get a certain level, depending on what server you're on, if you just click on the leaves, they'll just disappear. It's called leaf blower. And instead of having to break them like I am doing right now, you just click them and they disappear. It's really handy. You're trying to get rid of leaves really fast. Oh look, an apple. Oh, okay. Rip. And then also there's something called tree feller. If you right click, it'll say you ready your axe. And then you click and it breaks down the whole tree, and it lasts for a certain amount of time. See, right now it's lasting for a pretty long time. Usually by default it's a couple seconds. I see it wore off. And so when you do that, you get more XP, but it also takes a lot of durability from your axe. And you also have a chance at getting double drops. And junglewood does give you the most XP, so if you come across a jungle, then it's probably the best place to grind your woodcutting levels up. Obviously the lowest would be oak wood. Also mushrooms are pretty low, because mushrooms I would say are the easiest way to gain levels. If you find a mushroom biome and you just mine those down, it's pretty quick. Because they break so quickly, it's really the fastest and the best way to get your woodcutting level up. If you have access to a lot of mushrooms, obviously. If not, then I would just really break any kind of wood. Whatever wood you think you'd use. Because it's kind of pointless to have a bunch of wood and then just burn it, right? So the next ability is Herbalism. You get Herbalism experience by breaking down things like grass and flowers and sugarcane. You see my level just went up. My favorite way to grind levels is to go to a flower forest and then just break down all the flowers. I've always done it that way. I think it's the fastest. It's the easiest way. If you really are trying to get up your level fast, I would definitely recommend trying to find a flower forest and then just breaking down all the flowers there. You can see my level's going up pretty fast. Also, with Herbalism, there's this ability called Green Terra. And what happens is, if you have seeds in your inventory, like you can see I do right there, and you put down cobblestone and right click with the hoe, and then press that, you can see it turns into mossy cobblestone. It also turns stone brick into mossy stone brick, and it also turns dirt into grass. Also, there's this ability called Green Thumb. It's a passive ability, so you're not activating it. The higher your Herbalism level, the higher chance you have to like replant a plant once you break its fully grown form. So like if you have another farm and you're breaking like the fully grown one, then you have a chance of replanting another wart without actually losing any other wart, which is really handy if you're big on farming and stuff like that, or if you're playing Skyblock and have MCMMO. It really helps a lot. There's also an ability called Shroom Thumb, and what happens is if you have a mushroom and you activate Shroom Thumb and right click a dirt block, it has a chance of turning it into a mycelium block. So if you're trying to grow like giant mushrooms, it really helps with that. It makes it a lot easier. You don't have to go and find mycelium. Also, there is something called Hylian Luck, where if you break things like grass, saplings, dead bushes, and flowers, you get a chance at receiving like a special item. And so there's things that you can get like melon seeds, pumpkin seeds, or cocoa. Flowers drop potatoes, carrots, or apples as well. So, yeah. So the next ability also happens to be my favorite ability. It's Excavation. So depending on what your server's standards are for MCMMO, at certain levels you unlock certain drops from when you mine sand and grass and dirt and things like that. And so like when you first start, you get glowstone from mining them, and also depending on the different material you get different drops. I'll put the link in the description for the wikia for Excavation, because it is the drops are pretty complicated. I can't really explain all of them because it really depends on the server. On one server I played on, you had to be like level 650, and you could get diamond drops from any of the shovelable blocks and stuff like that. So I can just show you with dirt. You can see my levels going up, and I should get some glowstone. Yeah, my level is going up pretty fast. I haven't done any glowstone. I guess they must have the glowstone requirement pretty high, because usually you just get it right away, or like 20 levels. It's the first drop that you get, and then it slowly goes up to things like bones with gravel and like gunpowder, stuff like that. You get a lot of different drops. I know that dirt drops apples as well. Things like that. Diamonds are definitely the best one, which is why I think Excavation's the first thing you should max out to 1000 or 900 or whatever the max is on the server you play on. I prefer sand to anything else is because it takes the smallest amount of durability away from your shovel, and so it really makes the most sense to mine sand over anything else. Unless you need dirt, then I would definitely use dirt, or if you have /fix on your server like this one does. Definitely keep the link to the drops and stuff in the description. There's so many different drops. You definitely have to look at it if you're thinking about farming different blocks for different drops with Excavation. Also, just like the mining ability, if you right click, you can say ready your shovel, and then you go super crazy fast. Yeah, that probably won't happen on the server you play on. I think that the XP requirements are super low, or I just get a lot of XP because of my rank on this server. I'm not really sure, but you can see that it goes up like super fast. So the next ability is fishing. Fishing is definitely one of the most annoying abilities to level up. At first it's okay because like each fish you catch you get like a level or two, but then once you get into like 500, 600, depending on your server of course, it gets like super difficult to level up fishing. Also, you want to make sure if you do use Optifine that your water particles are on, because you won't be able to see when you catch a fish. There are quite a few drops that you can get from catching fish. Like you can see my level just went up by 3. That's crazy. That usually doesn't happen. I think I just get a lot of XP. You can catch like special things like enchanted books, armor, diamonds, lapis. You can catch like different ore, things like that. Fishing is really fun. If you're just like not in the mood to do anything, fishing is definitely something you should work on leveling, just because it's such a time-consuming thing to do. It's a really cool ability that I don't think most people know about fishing, is that when you like fish a mob, depending on what mob it is, you get drops from them. And so like with MCMMO, if you fish mobs, it does do damage to them, so eventually they will die to a fishing rod. As you can see, I just found a sheep over here, and so I do have a chance at doing something really cool, which when I discovered, I was like amazed by it, because it was just such a cool like ability. See? You can see I sheared the sheep. I actually sheared the sheep. I got 3 wool from the sheep. That happens with all sorts of mobs. You have a chance at getting heads from zombies and creepers. So the next ability is Unarmed. And with Unarmed, you really just get levels from like punching mobs and stuff like that. You can see my Unarmed skill just went up by 1. Also just got a pig head. That won't always happen with Unarmed. It just depends on what server you play on, if they have heads enabled or not. Unarmed is definitely something you want to level up if you're going to be doing PvP. So if you have MCMMO on a faction server, working on Unarmed is necessary for sure. There's an ability called Berserker with Unarmed, and it works the same as the mining ability and excavation abilities, where you right click and things go a lot faster. So like if I right click on here, I break, so you can see it breaks like super fast. And that's kind of the way that Leaf Blower works too. They just disappear like that, the blocks. There's also an ability called Iron Arm Style, and so the higher your MCMMO level for Unarmed, the more damage your fist will do to mobs. So another ability called Arrow Deflect, and so if you train your Unarmed and get your level pretty high, you have a chance of deflecting arrows from other people. So like someone could shoot an arrow at you, and if you deflect it, it has a chance at hitting them as well, which is super helpful for PvP. Disarm is the ability that is like the reason why you have to have Unarmed trained if you're doing factions or anything with like OP stuff. What Disarm does is you have a chance at taking away someone's weapon when you hit them with your fist. And it's like crazy helpful, because if someone's hitting you with a sharp 5 sword and you hit them a couple times and you take their weapon, you definitely have that fight down. The only downside to that is that there's something called Iron Grip. So if they have a really high unarmed level, then it's really difficult for you to take away their weapon. The thing with Unarmed though is that it doesn't work on spawners, so you can't train it by using spawners on most servers. This server actually allows for you to use spawners to gain levels. I know Omega Realm also does, but really it's like a server preference. Whatever the owner wants, they can change that preset. So the next skill is Archery. Archery is a super fun one if you have /fly, because like if it's like night and you're in the desert and then you see all the mobs, like just shooting them is so satisfying for some reason. You can see my archery skill just went up, so every time you hit a mob with your arrow, your skill will go up a little bit. There's also an ability called Daze, which when you shoot an arrow, it has a chance of giving your opponent nausea and also doing extra damage as well. Also, there's Arrow Retrieval, which allows you to pick up arrows that you fired at mobs sometimes, occasionally, so it is passive. It's not something you have to activate. Archery is not something you really need to like focus on leveling up, because it isn't that helpful in anything. Arrow Retrieval is cool to have, but it isn't necessary all the time. So the next ability is Swords. It's a pretty straightforward ability. Basically, you have a chance at making your enemies bleed when you hit them. It just goes up by like engaging in sword fights with mobs, passive or aggressive, also other players. So you can see I just got a level there. Also, depending on your level, the bleed might not be as long lasting. But it's like, it's the same as like if you light someone on fire, except you can't put out like the bleeding. It just goes out over a couple of ticks or a couple of seconds. There's also an ability called counterattack, where if someone hits you, there's a chance of like half the damage going back to them. So the next ability is axes. Like the ability of like using your axe to fight mobs. See, as you can see, it says struck with great force. It's just a passive ability that sometimes activates while using an axe to fight a mob or to fight a player. When you right click, it's called Skull Splitter, and it makes it so that when you hit a mob, it also affects mobs that are close by within like a 2-block radius. So as you can see, I've activated Skull Splitter. I think on some servers it also increases the chance to get a head drop, but not all servers have heads enabled, right? And what repair allows you to do is you can repair your armor without using an anvil. You actually just use this iron block here. And so what happens is, once your armor durability goes down, you can show by using this cactus. You can see my durability is down a little bit. You take this and put it in your inventory. You can see it's here now. And if I right click, you can see it repairs. And then my repair level goes up. The higher level you are, the less material it takes to repair, and also you have a higher chance of keeping enchantments that it has. On most servers you have to be level 50 to repair diamond armor, but diamond armor would give you the most experience. The number one way to level up your repair is by farming it by standing on a cactus, and then once your durability gets low, you take it out and then right click on the iron block. You can also repair things like bows and fishing rods, and anvils as well you can repair. Obviously it'll require like string for a bow and then iron blocks for an anvil. So the next ability is Acrobatics, and basically what it does is it reduces your fall damage. So yeah, and how you level it up is you just kind of jump off things. You can see my level went up 1. It's pretty easy to level up. The best way I would say to level it up is by creating like a farm kind of thing. So you just create stairs up in one direction, and then you jump off that and you just do that over and over and over, and it goes up pretty fast. Place and press shift, you have a chance of graceful rolling, which will decrease your fall damage quite a bit. I think it's by like 8 hearts maybe. You can see it's not happening to me right now. But also just without shifting, you have a passive ability to just take less damage by just rolling. So the last main ability is Alchemy. And you get experience by just using your alchemy brewing stand and by like making potions. So as you can see, I just put blaze powder in, even though it isn't an actual potion. I made a mundane potion, and you can see I got 1 alchemy level. Potions you can create, and so I'll link in the description the page for alchemy on the MCMMO wiki. And smelting, they're both like daughter abilities, so you can't directly like train them. So like for salvage you have to do repair and fishing, and smelting goes up by the mining and repair. If you smelt a pickaxe at a certain level, you get a flux pickaxe, which allows you to mine ores and they automatically are smelted, so you don't have to smelt them. And when you get to max level salvage, you can completely break apart completely repaired items. So like if you had a diamond helmet, you could get 5 diamonds from that, and that really helps with factions if you don't really need the gear that you have, you can break it apart. Some stuff out of it that you didn't know before. And if you liked it, please don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also leave a comment with any suggestions for future videos. I'll definitely upload a factions video soon because I like doing those the most. I just thought that this would be helpful to people that don't really know what MCMMO is for. So yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.